everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Brownie and I'm one half the Indecisive Reader. Today I'm here to do a very late May wrap up. I don't really know what to think about my May reading. Initially on Goodreads it doesn't look like I've really read a lot, but that's because I have some books that I carried on from April, I have some books that I technically finished in June, I have some books that I was borrowing from the library and I still haven't finished. I have one book that I didn't even get to count on Goodreads because it was a manuscript rather than a book, but it was a full-length book, so I'm going to count it. It was a weird month, so I did only technically finish 4 books to completion within the month, but I did read others. I also read like over 3,000 pages with an average rating of 4 stars. I read some chunky books, so it's not even as if I didn't read lots of pages. I just didn't finish anything. It's possible I may be slumpy. I'm kind of accepting that this month, that maybe not even slumpy, but I've started a job. I've started a new job. And so, yeah, life's just changing for me, and I think I've just got to accept that I'm not going to read 11 books every month when I'm working. But anyway, I'm going to get through and talk about what I read, what prompts I read them for. The prompts have gone. They did really badly in May. They're not doing well in June. I'm going to have to reconsider a lot of things, but we're here. We're having fun. What can we do? So the first prompt I have is Illustrator Covers. So the book I read for that was The Ones We're Meant to Find by Joan. This book was completely different from what I expected. I thought from the cover for some reason it was going to be like a fantasy book. Turns out it's a sci-fi about 2 sisters or 2 girls that have a connection, and it's about them finding each other and kind of exploring their history. It was so different from what I was expecting. I went in with like no expectations, but you know, like some expectations, but I really enjoyed it. I rated it 4 stars. I thought the 2 characters were really interesting. You could tell that there was something that kind of linked them together, but you couldn't work out what it was. It kept giving you loads of hints, but I could never quite work out what they were. I made notes for this. I never make notes for books, but even then I couldn't puzzle everything out, and so I think that was really effectively done. So when all the plot twists happened, I was quite surprised. The setting felt really poignant as well. It's kind of set in a world where humans have messed it up and continue to mess it up, and then there's another setting, but we don't really see enough about it to know what it's about. But it did feel really poignant, like hearing all these people talk about how like humans have ruined the world and we're gonna have to like reconsider what we're doing. So that felt a bit sad and very interesting to read about, but it also meant there was a big emphasis on science, and I thought how science was included was really good, because science wasn't just good and it wasn't going to save the world. There were different sides to it. It was kind of neither good nor bad, and so how that was explored was really interesting. I would definitely recommend this, and I will be checking out some of the author's other works. For the next prompt I had to read a book 401 to 500 pages long, so I read The Reaper at the Gates by Sabaa Tahir. I think this is about 450 pages, so it fit perfectly for this, and I was going to read it as an audiobook anyway, so yay me, I didn't have to find one. It's really difficult to review a book when you've read the whole series back to back. When you finish the whole series, or at least the next book, before having written the review for this. So note to self, write reviews as you go along. So I can't quite like gather my thoughts on this specifically, at least not very easily, but I do remember it's filled with a lot of twists that I didn't expect, a lot of kind of plot twists and surprises like all the other books. All the books are so effectively written. I still really like all the characters in this. Leigh and Elias like have my heart, but I really liked Helen in this as well. I liked how we get to explore kind of more of her duty, but also her heart. I thought that was really interesting. We also got to get a better insight of what role the characters will play in the kind of final book, in the final like big plot, and then we got some like history and some context of that, which made the like elements and the stuff that happened more impactful. Rated this one 4 stars. The next prompt I have was for a foiled book, and so I read Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. I do have like the shiny foiled cover. For such a big book online, like everyone knows Shadow and Bone, obviously the TV show has just come out. I was really pleasantly surprised by how little I knew about this. There were still some like plot points in this and like plot twists that I didn't know about, and so still surprised me, and I really appreciated like not knowing anything about it, because it did mean I could properly enjoy it. I have a weird like relationship with this and Six of Crows. I think I technically enjoyed the plot of Six of Crows more in this. I don't think like loads happened in this, but I found this one a lot easier to pick up and read, possibly because this has magic, and so it's like, although it's not a book I've read before, it feels a bit more familiar, like I knew what I was going into. But I did like enjoy the action and the adventure of Six of Crows more. I also maybe like the characters in Six of Crows more, although I did like Alina and her friendship with Genya and Mao, and also her kind of maybe romance with Mao. I think I do prefer them in Six of Crows. I never liked the Darkling. As soon as he came on, I know he's not a good character, but like as soon as he started doing stuff, I just get like all these like red flags, and I didn't like him, and like just my copy that I read, I have like tabbed it like I don't like him. I have thoughts on the Darkling. I didn't like him. I rated this one 4 stars. The next prompt I had was for an underhyped book, and so I read Flyte by Angie, which is the second book in the Septimus Heap series. I'm not going to say a lot about these because I talk about these enough, but I did really enjoy it. It's not my favourite in the series, but I did like how it kind of introduced new characters that will come back up, that are like some of my favourite characters, like Beetle comes into this, as well as Spitfire, but also kind of sets up some like big plot points. The next like 3 or 4 books kind of all go in a row, and so this is where they start to come into play, and so that was really fun to see. It also just gives us like some normal castle life, which is fun. I rated it 4 stars. The next book I read was The Cost of Recollection by Sam, as in Sam the Channel Sam. It's his like work in progress, his manuscript, and so that's the other one I read but didn't get to count. It was a very weird experience reading it. It was also a slightly weird experience reviewing it because maybe Sam's going to come on and look, but we have discussed it anyway. I really enjoyed it. It was a very weird experience reading it though, because for some reason I thought I hadn't read it all, but then when I was reading it I recognised all the chapters, so I don't quite know what's going on there. I really liked Eve as a main character. I think she's really fun. I like her relationship with Jake Charles. It had some plot points I wouldn't expect if I didn't already know what was going to happen, and it had a really interesting setting. It's kind of like sci-fi but with memories, almost like reminiscent of the Bone season. I really enjoy it. Well done, Sam. Then I'm going to talk about my punishment before I talk about my final prompt book, because my punishment was Other People Choose, and so the book people chose was The Crown of Gilded Bones by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is such a big book. This is why like I read a hefty page count even though I didn't like finish loads of books. I did only finished this one about a week ago though, maybe even less than that. It took me a long time to read this. And that's kind of why I didn't love it as much as the others. I still rated it 4 stars. I loved, I think about 500 out of the like 650 pages, but just the last 150 pages just lost me. I was so confused. Character names are really similar, and there were just so many like plot points and plot twists that like some of them I was like, whoa, that's a surprise, but then some of them happened. I was like, oh, I'm still like recovering from that last one, so I'll deal with that one later, and then I forgot about them. So like a lot of the stuff that happened I feel like I don't remember, so when the next one comes out I'm definitely due a reread of probably the whole series because I've probably forgotten a lot. However, I adore the rest of the book. I still really like Poppy as the main character. I think she's really fun. I'm just going to put a picture of like a cosplay I was doing of Poppy. I got a like stabby, what's it called, a dagger the other day, and so I had loads of fun dressing up as Poppy. That's what I've been doing with my time. I think she's a really fun character. I like how she has changed in this from stabby all the time to stabby with a purpose. I think that's character growth. And I really liked her relationship with Kieran and Cass and how that developed, and how that's obviously going to continue into the next books. I also like getting to see more of the world and the setting and a bit more of the history, so then the decisions that Poppy and Cass make, they have more consequence and we understand more of the impact they have on the story. Then my final prompt was cat pick, and so my cat chose A Quarter Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. I'm talking about this last because I haven't finished it yet. Basically, I was listening to the audiobook from the library. I got 89% of the way through, and then I looked and it said it's got an hour left, and I'm like, but you're also saying you've got a day left. So basically it finished a day earlier than I expected, so I probably would have finished it that day had I known, but I didn't know, so it hasn't been finished, which is really disappointing because it got to such an exciting point in the story. I was like really like ready to keep going. It was really intense and I was really enjoying it, and then like I just had to stop. So I can't wait for like my loan to come back so I can finish it. I'm really looking forward to it. I was hoping it would come in before now, but we're like mid-June anyway. I feel like I need to film this. I really enjoyed the plot in this. I really enjoyed seeing how Nesta recovered from her trauma, how that kind of manifested, and how, I suppose, how she approached it and how other people kind of responded to her. I liked the friendships she made in this along her like recovery journey, and also how she explored her powers. And then the Valkyries were really fun, like that kind of links them both together, but I thought they were great. I really liked them. However, I didn't enjoy the sex. There was just so, and will probably continue to be, so much sex in this book, and it's just not necessary, and it's so graphic. Like, if you want to tell us that they're having sex, just say that they're having sex and cut to black. I don't care for the sexy parts, and I was listening to the audiobook and I'm like, just gonna continue painting the walls whilst you're banging against a wall. It wasn't fun. I didn't enjoy it. I just want to jump in for like 30 seconds to say I completely understand the irony of me really enjoying A Crown of Gilded Bones but not enjoying A Court of Silver Flames. I mean, I did enjoy it, but you know, like, some bits I didn't enjoy. And I didn't complain about the sex in A Crown of Gilded Bones because I think it's written quite well in that book. However, in A Court of Silver Flames, it's all just so euphemistic, like all kind of swords and velvet and roaring, and it's just cringy. And I think I made a note that like within the first chapter, within a single line, someone was like talking about breasts within the first chapter, and I just wasn't here for it. If that wasn't there, it would probably be an easy 5 stars, but with it there, it's such a big part of the story. It's going to be like 4 stars, but I'm really enjoying where it's going so far, and I can't wait to finish it. Then the final book I did finish was House of Hollow by Krystal Sutherland. However, this is the one that I started in April, just put down for a reason, and then just never finished it. I have now finished it and I really enjoyed it. I rated it 4 stars. This is kind of low-key horror. I'm not a big like horror reader, so this is like about as horror as I like really want to go. I probably could go a bit more, but like this is like body horror, but also kind of creepy, witchy vibes. It's like magic and whimsy, but in the real world. And I thought how the two were combined was really interesting because it was really difficult to like tread the line. You didn't know when you were on one side or the other. And so because that was the point of the story, I thought that was really well done. I really like the relationship between the sisters in it. Given their like shared trauma or their shared experience, I feel like their closeness was accurately portrayed, and I think it was well done for the story. I also think their like experience was really interesting and well written because it did make me want to go onto Google and find out more about it and try and work it out for myself. Obviously I couldn't because it's just in the story, but then when it did get revealed in the story, I'll admit I got a little lost. I think because there was that gap in the middle, which is entirely on me, nothing to do with the book. Like some of the stuff that happened, I just didn't get the impact of. So it just meant that some of the reveals didn't quite have the same impact as they maybe should have done. I didn't necessarily guess any of them, but I was just like, ah, that has happened. That's quite interesting. And then moved on. But I did really enjoy this still. Then we have 2 final books. The first I'll mention quickly because I've definitely DNF'd it. That is, well, I think I have. But that is Last Chance Books by Kelsey Rodkey. I was sent this by the publishers because it was a like enemies to lovers romance around books. So I thought that sounded really fun. It's lots of elements of stories that I'm interested in. However, I got like 2 chapters in and just was like, I don't want to read this right now. I don't know if I'll come back to it later, but I shared it on Instagram. Other people said they'd add it to their TBR, so like I suppose I did my job. But the narrator annoyed me. The way they spoke, it was like they were a young adult but speaking like an adult, but also using all these like pop culture references which were like really annoying me. Like, I'm sure I do the same. I compare things to books in my head, but like reading about it was a bit annoying and I just didn't get on with it. I gave it to Sam. I don't know whether he'll read it, but that's a bit disappointing. But also I'm like, okay, I'm glad I just put it down rather than like trying to get through. The final one I want to mention is my Down for Now book. I got 33% of the way through it and I struggled to get through that 33%. So if it wasn't a NetGalley book and if it wasn't a book I wanted to really enjoy, I probably would have definitely DNF'd it. But it's like a feminist retelling of like ancient history, and so I really want to like it. However, given how I was struggling to get through. I don't know if I will finish it. But that is The Wolf Den by Elodie Harper. Like I said, I got 33% of the way through, so I feel like I've made a considerable effort, given it's like over 400 pages long. I've read over 100 pages and I'm still not like quite vibing with it, but I've got no reason why. I think it's got the potential to be such a fascinating untold story. It's talking about like the prostitutes in ancient Greek society and telling their story and having them explore ancient Greek society, but I just wasn't vibing with it. Whether it's because it's too much about sex, I mean, what did I expect? Or just because it was slow, I'm not sure. But yeah, if it wasn't a NetGalley book, I probably would have DNF'd it. But I'm not wanting to pick it up again, but also when I want to pick it up again, it's more just to get my NetGalley rating back up, so I don't know, maybe next month you'll find out. So those are the books I read in May. Like I said, it was a bit of a weird reading month for me. I don't know what it's going to mean for me reading forward because my jobs have changed and things. But let me know down in the comments what books you read. If any of you have read The Wolf Den, I'd be interested to know what you thought. But yeah, give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Comment down below to let me know you're here. And I will see you in another video. Bye.